Hello, soulmates. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new to this channel, you're very much welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always stopping by. So, in today's video, we'll be recreating this style. And the only difference between the one I'll be recreating is that I won't be adding this two layered flare that was added to the sleeve, so mine will just be a plain net. So this is the outcome of my own gown. As you can see, the zigzag at the skirt part, and my sleeve is without the double layered that was added from the inspiration. So if this is something you're interested in, if this is something you want to learn how to cut and also how to sew, please like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get started. Welcome, guys. So for the upper part of this blouse, that is where we'll be starting from. So I've already drafted a pattern. This is a bustier pattern with a yoke. So if you want a tutorial about this, I will link it up here, and I will also drop the playlist in the comment section. I'll pin it in the comment section for you to see, because I have a lot of tutorial on it. So just check my pinned comment in the comment section for the video, for the link to the video. So as you can see, this bustier pattern, it has a yoke, and for your yoke length, it is always your upper bust length or your chest length, that is from your shoulder down to where your bust is starting from. That is what you should use. So for me, my chest length is 6 inches. Mine is 6 inches. Some people go below, but I don't want my bust to be showing, so I always do 6 inches. So this my pattern has a dart at the side, which is optional. If you can draft your bustier without a dart at the side, you can just go ahead and do that, but I added that to this side just to make the bust area more divine, that is to bring out the shape of the bust. So the next thing we'll be doing now is the under bust that was curved out. So from this side here, you measure about 2.5 to 3 inches upward. You measure 2.5 to 3 inches upward. As you can see where the curve is ending here, like so, from here upward to the side, like I'm talking about this side here, you measure 2.5 inches upward like this, and just connect it to the side. And for this other part here, you measure about 1 to 1.5. So I use 1 inches. If you want yours to be more defined, you can just use 1.5 inches. So you go up by 1.5 inches or 1 at that side, and at this side you go up by 2.5 to 3 inches depending on how you want it, but I use 2.5 and I use 1. So for this dart here, since I'm adding a side dart to mine, so I'll be taping it in so that it does not affect my pattern. So I'll be taping it in with my paper tape. So for the neckline, the neckline is a very small neckline. I'm using 2.5 by 2.5. This is because it has a collar. So it has a collar, that is why the neckline is very small. So I'm using 2.5 by 2.5 inches for the front. So what I will do now is to go ahead and just cut this part out. I'm making this video very slow so that you can understand. So you cut out this part, and you cut out this upper part also. So you separate the yoke from the bust area. Then we also have the under bust area. So I'll go ahead and cut this under bust area or the waist area. Then the dart area that I took here, I will fold it in, because we don't want it to have a joining, except you want it to have a joining, but I don't want it to have a joining. So I'll fold this in, then I will tape it down. So this part also, I will fold it in and I'll also tape it down. So I'll fold it in and tape it down, then I'll cut out all these excess parts. You see all those curvy parts, we don't need it, so I will cut it out. So now I'm using my tape to hold it down, then I'll go ahead and cut it out just like this. After you're done with the cutting, it is always advisable you label so you can know which part is which part, and also put arrow so that when you are joining, you know which side you are joining to each other. So for this part now, I'm going ahead to tape it down like I said earlier. I'll tape it down so I can cut just one piece when I'm cutting it. So the only part left now is the yoke area. So I'll go ahead and also cut out my yoke area. So what I will do now is to go ahead and label this as my front yoke so that I know which one is which. So now we are done with the front bodies. Let's move to the back bodies. So this is the back body. It is just the simplest back bodies, just like the normal back bodies. It has this upper bust area, my armhole line, and then the half length. So the upper bust area is just 1 inch above my armhole line, is 1 inch above my armhole line. Then I added my zipper allowance at this area. I added zipper allowance because I'll be using a zipper. If you want to make it a corset loop, you can just go ahead and do that. And for the neckline, it is 1 inch downward by 2.5 inches. It is 1 inch by 2.5 inches. So now for this back yoke, I don't want it straight. I want it to be like a V kind of shape, just something like this. So I just want it like this. So what I will do now is to just measure it inward, how wide I want the v neckline to be. So for me, I'm using about 3 inches, and you know this pattern is on fold, so when you open it, you know it will be more. So I'm using 3 inches. If you don't want yours to be wide, if you want it to be very small, you can reduce it to like 2. But I want it to be wide, not too wide, because some people can still do about 4 to 5 inches depending on what they want. So you just slant it up to the neckline area just like that. So I'm using my marker to rule this out so that I can know where I will be cutting. Like I said, this line that I drew above the armhole line is just 1 inch above. You can actually use your armhole line, but I don't want the net to be too much, so that's why I went up by 1 inch. So for this part here, as you can see that I added a small part at this area I'm cutting. This is because of the part I removed where I wrote the zipper part. So I am tightening the bust area. So as I tightened that part, I added what I removed to the other side. This is just to prevent zip bulging. So like I said, what I remove at this zipper allowance area, I added it to the waist area. So you go ahead and cut out your pattern, then you cut out your yoke. You also separate your yoke from your main bodies. And for this yoke part, we don't need the sewing the zipper allowance at all. We don't need the zipper allowance. So I'm cutting away the zipper allowance, but the zipper allowance will be with the lower part of the back bodies. So you go ahead and label your yoke as the back yoke so you don't mistake it for the front. So after you are done, the next thing I like to do on my pattern is to take out 1/4 inch on both sides. I'll be showing you how I take the 1/4 inch. So I'll just take a 1/4 inch from here. I will blend it in towards the side. As you can see, it is very tiny, and I'll do the same thing too for the lower part, just to take a very small inches. That is just to tighten the armhole area of the side. This is optional, you can skip that. So now that our patterns are ready, so the back pattern is ready, the front pattern is ready, we'll just go ahead and cut our fabric. As you know that this style has two face, like the bust area is is one fabric, is one face of a fabric, while the under bust area is another face. So if you are using two type of Ankara, you can just go ahead and just mix it up. And if you want to use the same thing too, you can just go ahead and use the same thing. But for me, my brocade that I'm using has two face. So I'm using the shiny face for the bust area, while for the under bust area, I'll be using the other side. So you'll just see how I mix it up very soon. So this is the upper part. I've went ahead to cut it. I've also cut out my lining and I've added stay to it. As you can see what I'm talking about, as you can see this upper part, it is a shining face, while this lower part, the underbust, is not shining. So for my yoke, I'm using the chantilly lace and I went ahead to cut it. So for the back, I make sure that this curvy edge is at this V area of the neckline. So the curvy edge, I make sure that it was at this part here. This is just to give it a style or something, just to make it beautiful, but you can skip that. Just make it straight, then you use your bias tape to turn it. I don't want to use any bias tape to turn the neckline of the back. That's why I put the silvage edge at that area. So this is the neck. I'll still be showing you properly very soon. That's the neck area. So this is the back, and I've went ahead to cut my lining also, and I've added stay to every part of my fabric. So now we'll start from the back. So I will be placing my nets on my back body. So make sure you locate the front and the back of this net. Then you place it like this. You place it towards the armhole side because the opening is towards the zip area. So you make sure it is aligning with the armhole area. Then you place your lining too on it. So the net will be in between the lining and the fabric. So you go ahead and you pin it down. Then you sew round, leaving the waist area and the armhole, that small armhole part, as the only opening on this. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing too for the other side of the back. So I'll place my nets like this right on it. So I'm trying to locate the front and the back of this net so I don't get confused. So after you are done, you go ahead and you also pin this down. So you go ahead and you sew. So this is the front part now. So what I'll be doing is to join the bust area first. I'll be joining the lining separate and the main fabric too separate. So I'll be joining this like this. You know, we've added our joining allowance, which is half inch. I'll be joining it like this. Then I'll be joining the lining too the same way. So this is the back. I went ahead to join it. Like I said, the only opening I have is this small armhole part and the lower part there. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, the edges at the back that I mentioned. So that's that about that part. So this is the bust area. As you can see, even without any padding, the shape of the bust is coming out. I'm not padding this. I don't like to pad my own bust when I'm sewing for myself. I don't like to pad my bust. So this is the lower parts, and as you can see that the fabric are not the same. Like I use two face of this fabric. So you go ahead and you pin this here. So this is how you will sew it. But before you go ahead and sew, when I'm working with something that is this sharp like a sweet out neckline, I love to notch one part here, especially the part that is inside. So I notch this part here so that when I want to sew, I can easily flip and it will easily, and I can sew it easily. So before you go ahead and do this, we have to fix the net to the upper part first before we join the lower part. So we have to fix the net to the upper part. Then after fixing the net to the upper part, we'll use the lining to cover it. Then we'll now join the lining and the main bodies to the lower part. I'll be showing you that very soon. So try and locate the net, the front and the back of the net. Then after locating it, make sure you've notched the midpoint so that all the midpoints are matching. So you don't do double work. Make sure you match all the points. So I've went ahead to match all the points. Then after sewing, I top stitch at the upper part there so that the lining will not be showing, and I also hold I also held down the lining to the fabric, as you can see how it looks. So I have just one piece. So I'm notching this again because of the lining. Then I'll go ahead and fix this. So I'll place this here first. I'll sew the main fabric to this bust area first. Then I'll use the lining to cover up this part. So you go ahead and sew from one point to the other point. You sew it gently so that you can achieve a good result. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, this is just the lining alone, and it came out nice. So the next thing I'll be doing is to use this lining to turn it inside, so the joining will be inside. I hope you understand. So I went ahead to join the side, and this is how I joined the side. So I just push this inward gently, then I just sew with quarter inch here, and this is what it looks like. As you can see the bust area, and as you can see the shape is still there. So this is what it looks like. As you can see my net as the upper part also, it looks really really nice. So this is the lower part of this dress. If you want me to drop the tutorial on how to achieve this zigzag effect, please let me know in the comment section. I'm not adding it to this tutorial because I don't want this tutorial to be very long, because it is already long. So this is the upper part, so you notch the upper part and make sure it is aligning to the lower part. Also, you also notch this part, so you notch them, then you attach them together just like this. You attach them together, then this is what you have. I'll also do the same thing too for the back. So the back is pretty much easy, you just have to join it. Then this is what it looks like after joining. Then I'll go ahead and join the back. Then I'll join the shoulder just the normal way. You join the side, join the shoulder, and the only thing left will be the sleeve, the neckline, and the zipper parts. So now I've went ahead to join the back to the front. I've joined the shoulder area too. This is what it looks like. It looks very very fine. It looks very very beautiful. As you can see, all this notching, all this zigzag, they are matching. The side is matching, the back is matching, so everything is fine. Like I said, if you want me to drop the tutorial, I will drop it. So this is my sleeve, and it is just a bell sleeve. So the sleeve is fitted to the elbow area, then I just slanted the lower part. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the full cutting of the sleeve. I did not remember to film that. But you can just use a bell sleeve. If you know how to cut a bell sleeve, you go ahead and cut a bell sleeve. So this is my neckline. I have a tutorial on this neckline, Bishop neckline. So I'll just link it up here. So the only difference between this neckline is that I put this silvered edge, this scallop edges, I put it at the edge so that it is not just straight. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So I just added this at the upper part. That is all. So for this neckline, what you will do is to just fix this. Since it's a net, I will just go ahead and fix it just like this. I will just go ahead and fix it. So I've already measured my neckline to cut out the collar. So that's why the collar is matching without any excess. I measured it before cutting the collar. So now we fix the collar. Then the next thing to do now is to fix our zipper. Then I will put a bra hook at the upper part of this neckline so that it can close up. So I'm using a bra hook, you know, those hook and eye. So that's what I'll be using, not a skirt hook, or is a bra hook. So that's what I will put at that part, and my dress is ready. So the only thing left now is to just design all these edges. So I use a cup chain, which I regretted using because the net was just hanging to the cup chain. So the net was hanging to the cup chain, so I will recommend you use a trimming that does not attach to a net. So like a trimming that does not have a sharp edge. So when you add your trimmings, your dress will come out very beautiful. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I know it was not that detailed, but I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.